Yes, welcome back to the South Australian Sports Show. Nearly closing time. It has been an amazing year in sport around the world and, of course, here in South Australia. Poppy, for you, there's a couple that come to mind. What's the greatest South Australian story in sport that comes to you?
You know what? It was probably the Crows responding from tragedy to win respect. Not only in their sport, but I think across the sporting community,
Australia.
Libby, didn't they?
Yeah.
No matter what sport you followed, I think you'd had to respect the way the Crows responded to a tragedy.
Yeah, no, of course. It goes to show the character of the club to be able to respond to something like that. And obviously Australia rallied around the Crows, but it really speaks to the mettle of the players to be able to rise above that and to continue on with the season.
Yeah, I think Andrew Fagan did an outstanding job in that position, because it's not a book where you go, well, this happens, never happened before in sport in the world. You know, so it's not like they had to go along their own way. I think they did a great job. I think Scott Camperelli took the role as coach in a really difficult circumstances. And I think he did a terrific job. I think the book has to close now, and it's time for the club to move on. We don't need, without disrespecting Phil, but I don't think his wife, daughter, I want to hear about it anymore. It's time to move on and go in a new direction. So I think that's the positive thing. The tragedy of, when we're talking about tragedies, Phil Hughes, of course.
Yes.
You know, I think that's similar. I think it was tragic.
Yes.
We've heard enough now. It's time to, and we don't want to forget them, but we can't remain a focus. We need to try and move forward.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we talk about the big sports stories of this year. Obviously, the tragedy of Phil Walsh passing away, unfortunately, was the unfortunate sports story of the year, for want of a better description. But as we say, you know, through tragedy comes a triumph of men developing in all sorts of ways, and I think they'll become better for it. And we shouldn't forget Port Adelaide too.
I agree with that. It was on the tip of my tongue to say that. I mean, a lot of the players there and a lot of people there were closer to Phil because he'd been involved with that club for a long time. I think they did an outstanding job in the way they handled it. It kind of got pushed off to a side because Phil was the head coach at the Crows, but they did a terrific job as well.
They did. And even during the course of this year, I've really enjoyed, you know, reflecting on stories as we reflect on what sort of affected us this year, reflecting on stories that we've had with Murray Wiedemann, you know, talking through his career,
great career,
which is incredible. Eric Freeman, we've had, who's just recently released his book, which is fantastic. And I think the Sports Show gives us a chance to have people on here that are still performing and those who have performed, but their legacy still lives on in a lot of ways.
There are some great characters. You know, the Hall of Fame had 5 inductees this year. That was a great thing. I mean, there are so many positive things that sport gives us, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And even on today's show, you look back at someone like Mark Williams, Jason Portpleasure, who's still contributing. I mean, there are so many great things. Even
We're not going back to the Melbourne Cup.
But I will make one thing. Libby Hopwood herself is a good story, you know. She's getting closer and closer to wanting to get back on that horse, and hopefully track work's not too far away.
Hopefully.
But it's been a big old fight, Liv, hasn't it?
It has. It's been an uphill battle, but I think I'm starting to get comfortable with you boys here, so I might not want to go back to riding.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I think it'll be more difficult here than riding a horse. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, look, it has been a great year. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We look forward to your company again next year. Bye, everybody. Have a great Christmas.